In this video, we're going to be looking at the CSB, the Christian Standard Bible. This is the verse-by-verse layout, and it is in brown bonded leather. I'll show you the back of the box here so you can get an overview. Some really nice features, as you can see here. It does have a good 10-point type, 3 ribbon markers, smyth-sewn binding. So really you're going to see some good quality here, even though this is the bonded leather edition as opposed to the premium goatskin. It is still a really good quality Bible. It retails for about $70, but you can get this, I think, for less than $50 on CBD. So I'm going to talk about things that I really like about this Bible, and I will also talk about a couple of downsides, and then I will just give an overall impression. Let's start with what I really like, and let me just start with this leather cover here. This is a bonded leather, and usually when I think of bonded leather, I think it's kind of not very good quality. It is called bonded as opposed to genuine leather. So it's kind of manufactured. So I guess it does have real leather in it, but it's not as good as genuine leather and certainly not as good as premium leather when you're comparing. However, just to show you another bonded leather Bible, this is a NASB by Zondervan. Typically when I think of bonded leather, I think of something really thin like this. This is even thinner, and has a little bit of damage, I think, kind of got indented there. So it can be a little flimsier, and over a long period of time, it can break down. I feel like this bonded leather is really a little bit higher quality. It seems like it's very durable, a little bit thicker feeling, has a nice grain pattern to it, so it's going to be less prone to showing marks and damage. So overall, I would say even though it is bonded leather, it's actually a pretty nice bonded leather and less expensive than the goatskin, which is a beautiful addition if you get the goatskin version of this, and I have done a review of that. But this is less expensive, under $50, and still very good quality cover. The second thing I really like are the ribbons. It does have 3 ribbons. Some Bibles have an ESV verse-by-verse here. They only come with 1 ribbon. And that's fine. I'm not a huge ribbon person, but it is a bonus to have 3 ribbons. Nice to be able to mark different places in the Bible and navigate easily. And if you're a teacher, that can be really nice to have 3 ribbon markers. So I like that. A third thing I really like about this Bible is the form factor. The height and width and depth of this, it's really good. It isn't a small Bible. It's not the most portable Bible, but I have to say, if I compare it to like this Church Bible Publishers turquoise, this Bible, this is what I think of when I think of kind of a larger Bible that is going to have good size print, but when you hold it, it's kind of thick, whereas this one is almost more of a thin line feeling Bible. And so I would compare this CSB verse-by-verse to the form factor of the ESV verse-by-verse and even the ultra slim or ultra thin NASB by Lockman. These just have a thinner feel to them, and the CSB verse-by-verse also has that thinner feel. So I think because of that, it's just a little easier to carry and handle than something like this Church Bible Publishers Bible. So I think that's a bonus. The form factor is big enough to have that good size font, but not so big that it is really bulky and hard to carry. It has a good feel when you're carrying it. A fourth thing I really like about this Bible is its overall look and design. I've already shown you the cover and the quality of that, but the spine too has a really good look to it, a lot like the premium goatskin cover, but still a really good look here. Perimeter stitching. This bonded leather has a paste down liner, but it is smyth-sewn, as we saw in the back there, so really good quality to this Bible. When I compare it to other Holman Bibles from the past, this is a premium leather Bible. That's what they called this. This is an NKJV, and I have to say, you know, this is okay, but it's really tough to say that this is premium. And even though this is bonded leather, this would be considered a lower quality leather for the cover than the NKJV. It actually has more of a premium feel and quality to the overall Bible compared to this one. So I would really have to say that if this used to be what they considered more of a premium Bible, even this bonded leather version for the verse by verse is a step up, in my opinion, in certain ways, and it's just a higher quality Bible. So I really appreciate that. Holman is stepping it up. If you look at the front here, I'll just show you that. It looks so beautiful there with the red, and there's your information, copyright information, printing information if you want to look at that, table of contents, introduction to the translation. There's our Old Testament title page, and then you get into Genesis, and you can see this just has such a beautiful look to it. There's the New Testament. Get into Matthew. And then at the end of the Bible, after Revelation, we have just a really nicely done table of weights and measures. Just looks so nicely printed with different colors. A nice concordance that's very typical, but I just love the overall look and quality of this Bible. It really does have just a high quality feel to it. Very nicely printed maps. These are on more of a cardstock paper, not glossy. Colorful, very useful. So as you can see, the overall look and design of this Bible is fantastic and good quality. Then when you get to the print, I have to say the print on this Bible, I love the font for the CSB, designed by 2K Denmark. It has such a nice look to it, in my opinion, and yet it really reads very nicely too. And it's a good size 10-point font. It is about 10 point. And sometimes 10 point is a little small in certain fonts, but in this font, I think that 10 point is very readable. It's also line matched, and so you don't get a lot of ghosting. The paper on this is definitely very good, decent quality paper. It's not necessarily high-end premium paper, but it's good paper. And I'm not seeing a lot of show through, and the line matching helps with that. If you compare it to the ESV verse by verse, I actually notice more ghosting here, and I don't believe this one is line matched. So having the line matching helps a little bit, give it a cleaner look. Just, you know, it's very white in the white areas, and then the printing comes out very nicely. This is still okay, but the CSB is even a little bit better because of that line matching. As I showed you too when I was going through the Bible, it has some really nice highlighting with the red here on the headings and the chapter numbers, the references. You know, you just have some nice red highlights in this Bible. You see that beautiful design with the red here for the New Testament title page, a nice decor symbol, and the same thing with the book title here. Matthew is in red, nice decor. So I just love those red highlights. You see that with the verse numbers too. For your eyes visually, everything that's text is in black, and then the numbers are a different color. So if you're looking for the numbers, I think it's easy to find them because they're a different color. But if your mind is focused on text, then the numbers being a different color, I think actually kind of helps them not to be as noticeable when you're not looking for the numbers. So it's just a great balance. A lot of Bibles are doing this two-colored design with red and black, and I do think that makes the Bibles more expensive, but not exorbitantly so, and I think it's really worth it because you're really getting an even better quality product. Again, if I compare it to the ESV verse by verse, what they did in this one is just bold the verse numbers, which is nice, but I just think the two-colored look of the CSB is really nice, and is just a step up in terms of quality. I do really like this verse-by-verse format a lot. There is a resurgence of verse-by-verse Bibles coming out. It's obviously very popular to the point that even the NIV put out a verse-by-verse. And that's because, for a lot of us, it's just really good if we're preaching or teaching to be able to navigate and see exactly which verse we're on and go back to it. And also, if you're someone who, for whatever reason, you're reading the Bible and it's just overwhelming to you, I feel like verse by verse is just visually more organized for a lot of people. It allows you to break down the Bible into more manageable pieces so that you can understand it and focus on different parts of the Bible. Now, the downside is we don't want to break that up in our minds too much because the Bible was written as a continuous text. But for teaching and for studying, verse by verse has some real advantages to it. So I love the verse by verse format. Also, along with that verse by verse, you've got these good sized margins here, especially on the outside, but even the inside has decent margins. And so I have to say, as a teaching Bible, if you like to write in it, or even as a study Bible, you're studying and you want to be able to write and just meditate on certain things and write your thoughts or write notes, or for study purposes be able to connect one part of Scripture with another, this has room for you to write all of those things. Maybe you're preaching and you want to have some points next to what you're teaching on. You can do that in the margin here. So I do love having that margin space. And again, they're able to get that into this good form factor. It's not actually that huge of a Bible, but it still has space for good size margins. Now, there are some downsides to this Bible, although I have to admit it was hard to think of any. But kind of what I was just talking about, that margin space is great. And I think the way they were able to get that in a verse-by-verse format was to put the references at the bottom here. And that's not new. I showed you the ESV does that. But the NASB from Lockman has the references in the center. It's still a verse-by-verse format, but those are center column references. And in my opinion, one downside is it's harder to use the references when they're all bunched together like this. Whereas when they're put in the center column and separated more, it's just easier to find them and use them. So that's one downside. But I do appreciate that the references here, cross-references, are separated from the footnotes. Sometimes Bibles will put that all together. That's even harder to use, in my opinion. So the translator footnotes are at the very bottom, the references in the right-hand corner of each page. Not as easy to use as center column references, but I understand why they do that. It makes for really a cleaner reading experience. And again, it really allows you to have more margin space. If you put these references in the middle, these columns would be thinner, and then I think it would take away from the margin. So in my opinion, I have other Bibles I can use for references, so I'd be okay if they didn't even have references. But I guess if they're going to put them in, putting them there is fine. Just, in my opinion, not quite as usable as center column reference. The only other negative thing I could find about this Bible were the ribbons. I do appreciate that there are 3, and the color scheme is nice. Again, just an overall look to this Bible. I forgot to mention it does have nice gold gilding on the edges here. No colored art gilding under the gold for the bonded leather, but you do get red under gold if you opt for the more premium cover Bible. But these ribbons here, they are just adequate in terms of their quality. I just feel like they don't seem like super high quality, and then especially how they were cut there, that doesn't look great. I actually feel like the ESV verse by verse that I have, they just did a better job with this particular ribbon. I would have liked to have seen something more like that on the ends of these ribbons here. I think that would just make it look a little nicer and go along with the high quality of the Bible that you see overall here. But overall, my impression of this Bible is that it is a really good quality Bible, well made. You're really getting your money's worth with this Bible. And it is beautiful. It has a nice, clean layout. And so what I would say is it is a good looking Bible, but also it's very functional. It's very useful for a lot of different purposes, and that's really the most important thing. So if you're looking for a verse-by-verse CSB, good quality, I'm happy to say it has now been produced by Holman. It is a wonderful Bible. You can get it in this version, or as I showed before, the premium goatskin leather is really nice if you want to have an even higher quality. But this is a really good addition if you want to save some money. For under $50, you can get this nice Bible here. Thank you so much for taking a look at this Bible with me from a First Perspective.